Thank you so much, Aditya, and I am back again. A very warm good evening to all of you, and thank you so much, our esteemed panelists slash jury members of the upcoming awards that we will be witnessing. So, our panel is about marketing leaders of the future, and we are also trying to predict what is the perfect recipe of brand building in 2024. So my first question, Shivam, which I would like to shoot to you at the very beginning, what according to you is the perfect recipe of brand building in 2024 that we should look forward to?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think we would all be delighted if we had the crystal ball, which would give us the perfect recipe. I think not just for the future leaders, but for us also. Hello, hello. Is it better now? Yeah, so I just said, great question, and it would have been great if all of us had that crystal ball to know exactly what is the perfect recipe for the future. Unfortunately, we don't have that, but we have some insights, we have some traits that I think will make sense for the future, and not just for 2024. I think it's about these are the traits that might do us good as marketeers for the future of marketing itself. So I think one of the things that you're seeing in the field of marketing is the pace at which technology is evolving, the media is evolving, the whole communication industry is evolving, consumer patterns are changing, consumer behaviors are changing, consumption patterns are changing. And there's new technology like AI, for example, right? So it's coming in. So the whole landscape is evolving very rapidly, and I think one of the key traits for a marketing leader for the future is definitely to be adaptive, be open to change, be receptive to change, be adaptive, and be agile. How quickly can you adapt to that, and how quickly can you bring that to life? Because if your time to market is right, if your time to market is right with the kind of campaigns, you're seen as innovative, you're seen as disruptive, you're seen as differentiated, and that's where you'll catch the attention of the audiences, that's where you'll catch their engagement levels, and hence be able to drive benefits for the brand. The second thing I feel, if you ask me in terms of exact trends, I think one of the trends is, of course, personalization. I mean, we've seen that grow over a period of time. And I think now with the advent of AI, that trend is going to go even bigger, right? I mean, the kind of personalization that you can do with AI, we've seen recent campaigns being done by some of the brands like Titan did. You can use people to do mass customizations and personalization. So I think these are some of the key things, but at the core of it, I would like to reiterate, is the ability to be adaptive and ability to be agile, and that I think, and embrace new technologies and integrate that in the marketing effort. So with that.
So understanding that change is the only constant, so and being adaptive and agile to it, Mr. Pahwa, I would like to know your thoughts on the perfect recipe of brand building in 2024.
Hi. I think the basics will never change, right? Understanding of the consumer, I think, is the first and the foremost. The ways and techniques of understanding the customer might change, but in the end, it starts with the brilliant basics, I guess, right? So that is one. And I think what is happening is that it's a very interesting space that we are into. It's at the interesting point in terms of intersection between technology, the people, the understanding, and the brand. So how well you're able to make sense of this triad part, that here is the consumer, here is the understanding, here is the brand, and what are the spaces common, right? The other thing is the fragmentation, right? And how technology is enabling the fragmentation, and how also it's enabling a thing which is also kind of a mass customization. So as long as you're able to understand those intersections and find the sweet spot, so I think that you're going to be doing good in terms of doing a good brand building in these changing times.
So integration of old and new technologies coming together will bring something new?
See, what is also happening is that the lines are getting blurred between the virtual and the real life, right? So now you have influencers who are based on AI and making more money than the real influencers, right? So I think someone needs to really understand that what's happening, and which is the best way for the brand to kind of say tread on. I mean, so do they want to create real relationships, and is that kind of relationship based on a virtual as a base? So I think it's good to understand these entire dynamics, and that should be a good way to look into the future and do the future gazing.
Interesting to know. Nimish, your thoughts on the perfect recipe?
See, I think Mr. Malhotra has done an incredible job in terms of setting up the context for young India. Uh, in my mind, there are 3 C's which are very important. And especially when you're talking to the 600 million consumers which are between the age of 21 to 35. The first C is about credibility. 87% of Indians want to try a brand which has been recommended by either a friend or a family or Google or Quora. So it's very important for us to harness the power of advocacy and credibility. So that's the first C. The second C is content. It is becoming increasingly difficult, and Mr. Malhotra was talking about it. It is becoming increasingly difficult for marketers to make consumer see an ad. They don't have patience for 30 seconds. And if you were to serve them a video ad on an OTT platform, they'll skip it. Or they'll be multitasking. So it's very important for you to use the power of content and get your brand discovered. For example, I represent a health insurance company. There is an audience which is searching for health insurance, but there is an audience who's also searching for a gynecologic, an orthopedic surgeon, the best cancer hospital. Through content marketing, I can tap that consumer and make them aware of the benefits of health insurance. So it's about leveraging content to really get the consumer discover you. You can't advertise to the generation that is gonna be the decisive factor over the next 3 years. The last C is about creativity. Now, when I say creativity, I'm just not talking about the buzz on social media. It's also about what is the problem that you're solving for customer. There's a lot of work that is happening on cause. Mr. Malhotra talked about few things. My only difference over there is a lot of brands are lapping up cause just for the sake of awards. And that's a fact. It's been called out on various social media platform. Do you genuinely solve a cause? And if you solve a cause, so customer is going to be looking at cause, credibility, and content.
Lovely, very interesting concept of these 4 C's. And I would actually like to conclude it more, but before that, Mr. Pahwa, I would like to know from you that since our theme of the summit this year is everything from generative AI to Gen Z, and with the new advent of and the new use of AI that we are witnessing in today's date in multiple campaigns, OH campaigns have come very lively. There was Ayushmann Khurrana in one, there was Shah Rukh Khan in another. And customers and lookers, passers-by are getting very amused and they're engaging with those campaigns. It's very attractive to the youth, of course, but I will not particularly limit that to the youth. Be it Gen Z, be it millennials, be it boomers, all of them are very amused and very engaged with those campaigns. How do marketers now leverage this technology and bring it in a more meaningful way for their consumers and especially modern consumers in marketing as well as experiential marketing forms?
Right. I would just want to add another dimension to it, that is the whole bit about creativity as well, right? Because all this in the end, it's about how creative you are. So I think, see, what is happening is that as an AI, that brands are now using AI as a very potent tool of creativity, which is based on insights, right? A lot of tools of AI, they enable you now to do more like data mining, which helps the creativity to be unleashed, right? So that is one. The second thing is that that we should see AI as a complementary thing to the human creativity. It ain't a substitute. It just augments how you're thinking and how it can really amplify your thought, right? So as long as you're able to get a grip on like these two things, it will always help. The other thing is that this whole area about personalization, because in the end, if you have an idea and you're able to get a scale, if you are able to do the personalization to the nth level, so that kind of gives an edge and a straight like connect to the consumers. And I think that as a brand marketer, your job is not limited to a campaign. It's a period of time. These are episodes. Experiences take a while to like register in the mind, especially now there's so much of advertising exposed to the consumers, and you experience it day in, day out. The amount of time people are spending on the digital say, landscape, it has to be a very consistent effort which has to go on regular basis, because only then you'll be able to kind of say cut the clutter, create those experiences which stay in the mind. I mean, in the end, we all relate to a brand or to an episode through the experiences which we are able to create, be it a relationship or a just pure relationship of a consumption. So I think that's important to keep in mind in building the brand in these times.
Lovely. You mentioned a point, cut the clutter. Shivam, actually, I would like to know on these lines itself that, again, these new lively experiences haven't been seen a lot. So brands that are coming with it are cutting the clutter. They are obviously making a stand and making people notice. How do you think the future, because since our topic is also marketing leaders of the future, how do you think these leaders will leverage AI to that extent? Because whatever they do, it's something new that we are seeing.
No, absolutely. I think it's a great question, and I think with respect to AI, I still feel we are at a nascent stage. It's still developing, and people are discovering what it can really do for us. And it's not just marketing, actually. I mean, I would like to take a step back and say, see, marketing definitely can use AI, but to begin with, it has to be your products and services that start using AI, and then you can market that as a feature using AI. So essentially, I think AI has a role to play everywhere. And one of the examples, and I think the point that I made, right? I mean, the products and services have to start taking up AI. I think one of the leading examples is Motorola's recent announcement at a couple of months back, where we launched a bendable phone, right? Now, bendable phone is a hardware concept, right? I mean, we've got a foldable. We also displayed a rollable concept earlier this year, and 2 months back, 1 month back, we displayed a bendable phone, which can wrap around your wrist, literally. But on its own, you know, how do you showcase the use cases that are really innovative? Now, with new innovative form factors, with new innovative hardwares, products, services in general, AI will play a role in making them useful for the consumers, making use cases out of them. So for example, we showed a use case where you can click a picture of yourself and the AI automatically designs a wallpaper basis the theme of the clothes that you're wearing, and then you wrap it around. Now, this is just one example. There can be tons of examples of how AI will play a role in each and every touch point that you'll have with products and services. And once that starts to evolve, I think definitely there is scope for marketing to take this further and AI to be used in marketing. You spoke about some of the disruptive campaigns, right? Definitely it'll catch attention. I mean, one of the biggest, AI being used anywhere, even without marketing. So for this example that I gave you, actually we haven't done any marketing around it. It was just an announcement at an event of a product with an AI capability, and that itself has gone viral. You know, millions of consumers have seen it and have started commenting on it. So I think AI is at a stage right now where people are discovering its potential, people are excited to know more about it, people want to know more about it. I think it's about us, for us right now, I think it's about satiating that appetite for them, take the products and services and make it visible, make consumers consume it, and then of course use it in the field of marketing to create disruptive campaigns. But wherever you use it, trust me, right now it will catch eyeballs.
Beautifully explained, I must say. Nimish, on these lines itself, like we saw COVID, and COVID made us all stop for a while. After COVID, people are back. They just want to be back on the roll, and people are more enthusiastic as well. The next trend that we are forecasting for 2024 is experiential marketing, as well as the use of AI. What are your thoughts upon it, that how will the blend of these two help the marketeers and the industries and the respective industries to engage more with their consumers, to reach more potential customers, tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities? How do you see that coming around?
Very interesting question, actually. I don't see AI as a woke concept as a marketeer. Yes, there are examples of brand doing something very interesting and putting it on social media handles and 100,000 people kind of liking it. Our country is far larger than that, right? So one of the use case that I'm very excited about as a marketer Uh, we belong to one geography, right? And as a marketer, we always think in that language. I'm from I'm from Madhya Pradesh. I always think in Hindi. My creative director thinks in Hindi. We make literature for our products we think in Hindi, and we translate into 3, 4 languages, right? But India is far bigger than that. And I think this is a genuine problem that AI can solve for. The large language model can convert your campaign, your creative, into 125 plus dialects. There's a consumer who's as important, who's sitting, let's say, 300 kilometers outside of Bangalore city, than the consumer who's sitting in this conference. Yeah, so one of the big thrusts that I see that we should do, one is driving buzz. The problem is consumer today is inundated with 18,000 brand impressions a day. Every third video goes viral and it dies the next hour. Are we going to build for the next hour of virality, or are we going to really build for something which drives persuasion and awareness of your proposition where none exists? So that's where my mind is.
Lovely. So please keep the mic with you. The next question is for you as well. As when you started talking about this segment of how it will inculcate in today's date, you used the word woke. So thank you for using that word yoke. It shows that we are in a summit that talks about Gen Z. That's a Gen Z slang. I'm also learning over a period of time. So when you talk about this woke, rather, there is something called personalization, which has taken a lot of limelight lately. I mean, naturally, as we were discussing earlier, that if someone says hi, but they say hi Reema, I will prefer that hi Reema rather than a hi. So, but again, also we see a lot of privacy concerns in today's date, where, I mean, of course, deep fakes are being seen. Alia Bhatt's, Modi is dancing to a garba. So, surprisingly, how do you maintain trust and build consumer loyalty in these difficult times? Because everything is more personalized. We saw Mohit sir's keynote session where his voice was AI generated. And it was a very beautiful thing, but as much as it has pros, it also has cons to it. Consumers want to build it, but also they're scared of it. So how do you cater to that personalization as well as blending it with the privacy concerns?
Interesting question. I don't have the full, first we learned how to personalize using cookies, using PI data. Now we are unlearning that. We don't know what to do. So it's a roller coaster. I think the entire world is going through it. And we are also having our experiment, but 2 things very important. The first one is, and I have deep respect for that brand, but at some point in time, either today or yesterday, you would have got a call from Bajaj to give you a loan. And they say, hi Nimish. So that level of personalization doesn't work. Somebody calls me hi or somebody calls me hi Nimish doesn't work, right? The important point is, does he know what I'm looking for? Is he selling me something that I'm looking for? I think that's the level of personalization. Hi Nimish, hi Reema, hi Sumeet doesn't work. I think our definition of personalization has to be far more granular than that. That's the first part on personalization. The second bit is the laws of the land, and we are a fully compliant organization. The space of being personalized yet protecting the privacy of the consumer is a gray space right now. So what essentially as an organization, what we are doing is, there's a customer that we know and the customer has consented because he's a policy holder. How can I first build a great experience? For example, a customer who calls me and I know that this customer has got discharged from hospital 1 month back because of a bypass surgery, my first response to that customer is, Mr. Nimish, I hope you're feeling well. Did you have the right kind of experience during your claim settlement? Did the hospital hold you for 8 hours or were you getting discharged at time? I think the first important bit is to solve for the consumers who have already put your trust. And I think that's one piece that we want to solve for. A customer who has not consented, doesn't care about health insurance, doesn't know Max Bupa or Niva Bupa, I think that's a problem for tomorrow to be solved for. So far more granular than just addressing me by my name. It needs to know what I'm looking for and what my requirements are. Second, in terms of respecting privacy, start with what you know and then try and figure out what technologies exist. There's some work that is happening on data clean rooms, etc., very nascent stage. But once you solve for that, you solve for the prospect. Today, it is important to give great experience to your customer. Use personalization and privacy there.
Understood. So, Mr. Pahwa, now since we were on the privacy and personalization take, so we are also expanding, marketers are also expanding to various tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities to expand their consumer base. Tier 1 city, I think metro cities are, they have all the brands altogether. But we are expanding for a more base, consumer base, and also they have a very strong purchasing power. So when you expand your consumers, then also with the advent of AI, generative AI, we see with personalization, we have first party data, we have second party data, we have third party data. How would you as a marketer see to control these issues altogether?
Oh, sure. I think it's an interesting trick thing that how do you balance the privacy on one side and the customization on the other side, right? I think there's a great amount of temptation across all the marketers to collect as much data as you can. Like in the morning, in the evenings, what he does or she does and all that, right? But I think that somewhere a brand needs to be responsible, right? So that of course there are consents. People don't think about the time they take the consent. Right, it's important to educate the customers in the beginning itself that what is it that you're collecting. You have to give them an option to choose that what they want to give and what they don't want to give and how will you be using the data, right? So that's one. The other thing is a lot of, I think, good responsible brands are doing the anonymous collection of data and they're just putting it in clusters as an aggregate. And this is to protect the individual privacy because then you're analyzing as a whole, as a lot. So that is one. The other thing is that you need to keep educating the customers that this data is important for us to give you A, B, C, D services or to personalize more, right? And on the other side is the personalization bit that there's a whole lot of examples about omni-channel experience from social media to the physical world, that how smooth the journey the brand is able to generate through all the data they've collected. There's a gamification thing happening, all those things are happening as well. So I think as a brand and as a responsible brand, you need to protect the consumer data. You need to educate them and keep communicating to them. You should be very strongly and religiously following all the data protection laws and regulations because those are very stringent. And I think they are there to protect the consumers and to protect the brands as well. So as long as you're able to strike the balance between how much data you need and how much personalization you want to give, a brand should be able to come out of say as a good and a responsible brand and not be so greedy about, I want everything about the customers. It may not be say required.
Shivam, your thoughts on this, because as you know, as being the woke generation, we have everything available online. We are seeing what is happening even in theaters today. We see that, okay, there's a fake sound that is coming in. People can, rob you virtually now. So how do you take care of these privacy concerns when it comes to also personal, because data is being spread across? What is your take on it?
No, absolutely. I think privacy is a big concern for the younger generations and for all of us. In fact, in the age of technology where we're using so many smart devices, smartphone is one of the key intersections of technology with the human data, etc. And hence, it's a very focal point when it comes to privacy. And we've seen that definitely consumers are becoming more and more aware of the privacy factors. They are limiting what apps are collecting as information, etc. So I think it's absolutely important. But I frankly think, I mean, my fellow colleagues have covered most of the points here. I'd just like to reiterate some of the points as well. I think Sumeet mentioned being transparent to the consumers, giving them the exact details of why you're collecting data. And I think in addition to that, I'd just say also be transparent and make it easy for them to opt out if they want to, right? I mean, I think that's one of the things that a lot of brands don't do it. In fact, people make it difficult to opt out, right? I mean, that's the, but give them an option. I mean, if they really think it's not something that they want to do, let them opt out, and that'll build trust into your brand. That'll bring trust for your brand. The second thing I think, which Nimish also mentioned, is very, very key to personalization. I think, see, at the end of the day, if you limit personalization to something which is very superficial, I think it's not going to give results. And at the end of the day, the consumer will only want to share data with you if he believes it is going to add value to their life, right? Simple as that. If the consumer feels that he's going to see content, he's going to see products, he's going to see services that are relevant for him, he will happily share data with you, right? So you have to give them the experience, give them the trust that what we are offering you is of interest to you, is relevant to you, and will continue to be relevant to you, and this data is going to help us give more and more relevant content and data to you and services to you. And in that case, I feel the consumer will have absolutely no hesitation in sharing data, and you as a service provider or a product developer will be able to give highly contextualized, personalized services to them. Make it deeper, like I think Nimish said, for sure. Make the connect deeper, make it more engaging. That's the whole idea of personalization, right? You want engagement out of it, and that can only happen if you go at a deeper level. And last but not the least, I think from a data perspective, I think it's important for brands to start building first-party data for sure, right? I mean, I think, and this is one of the approaches that you could use to do that. Make sure that you offer the right services, be transparent, be clear, and give them an option to opt out if they want to. But make sure that they don't need to if your services are very, very relevant. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Shivam. Thank you so much. I mean, we actually ended on time, thankfully. So thank you so much for such an insightful session. I'm sure we gathered a lot of creativity, that is the use we need here, the use of personalization and privacy all together, which I had a lovely time chatting with all three of you. And of course, the perfect recipe for 2024, how brands will build. Thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you.